All right, that's a wrap on the Yankees postseason. So let's recap the season. Of course, the ALDS with our Yankees beat writer for the Post, Greg Joyce. Greg, man, I was at the game last night. I felt the energy for as long as Yankees fans could keep it up, but ultimately they couldn't get it done. Outscored 34-19 on the series and out hit 50-34. So did the Yankees actually have a shot to win the ALDS, or was the Toronto Blue Jays just a better team overall?
Yeah, I think they certainly had a shot, but I mean, when it comes down to it, they just straight up got beat pretty much in every facet of the game. Last October ended with a lot of talk about the Yankees hurting themselves, and there was certainly a fair share of that throughout this year, especially middle of the season. But when you look at this series, the Blue Jays were just better up and down the lineup, their pitching staff, everything. I think Austin Wells said last night they just hit the crap out of the ball. Seemed like every time they had a runner in scoring position, they were able to get him in. Um, you know, and the Yankees obviously last night against a bullpen game when the Blue Jays threw eight relievers at him, really weren't able to get much of anything going. I think they stranded I think it was eight or nine runners in the last four innings, so they had their chances late, just weren't able to come up with a big hit. And so it was the offense that kind of failed them last night. Earlier in the series, it was their starting pitching that failed them, which had been a strength of theirs down the stretch of the regular season. And so it was just a number of factors that it wasn't all clicking for the Yankees when they needed it most. But it was obviously they had a tiebreaker with the Blue Jays atop the AL East. In the regular season, both those teams won 94 games, and the Blue Jays won the tiebreaker because they beat the Yankees in the season series. But I don't think there was much question about which team was better in October. Obviously, the Blue Jays really just took it to them and didn't kind of leave much room for debate on that.
Post game, Alex Rodriguez said the Yankees had one of the worst roster constructions or constructions of a roster that he'd ever seen. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think after the trade deadline, it got better. They had more options off the bench. Were able to platoon a little bit more, which we saw at times in the postseason. Kind of gave Aaron Boone some more options off the bench, but obviously it wasn't the one that worked out. That said, Boone going into the postseason said this roster had a up and down as a complete roster as he had in his time managing the Yankees, and he thought they had as good a shot as anybody to win the World Series. Obviously, that didn't happen, so they kind of go back to the drawing board. The different team than last year. You could argue the more complete lineup had a better threat for speed on the bases, which we didn't see much of this postseason play out. They were still able, it was an offense that led the majors in scoring during the regular season, which obviously didn't help them at all last night when they needed the offense to step up to save their season. The rotation ended up being a strength down the stretch of the regular season, despite not having Garrett Cole, Clark Schmidt, both those guys undergoing Tommy John surgery. And the bullpen, all year was kind of in flux, trying to find their footing. And kind of finished strong, but in the postseason saw some of those warts come back out. So I don't think it was a flawless roster by any means, but I do think it was better than it was. Pre-trade deadline, they made some moves to be able to what they thought put them in a good position to go win it all, and obviously it still didn't happen.
One person who put them in great position to win it all was Aaron Judge, and I feel like he put the narratives about him not showing up in the postseason to bed. 9 for 15 with a clutch home run in Game 3 and 6 RBIs on this series. Winning a World Series title is a team effort, I feel like, but did he at least climb the ranks of Yankees greats with what he did this postseason?
Yeah, I think he went a long way, at least in changing the narrative of his postseason legacy. Obviously, Yankees are defined by championships at the end of the day, and not necessarily the statistics that come along the way. But he did turn in his best postseason of his career. Obviously, he had the huge home run in Game 3 to tie it and send them to a stave off elimination there, kind of a signature moment that he had been missing on a resume that's pretty lengthy. Besides that, but obviously, you also look back when you're kind of trying to figure out where it all went wrong. That at bat he had in the sixth inning of game one with the bases loaded, obviously, is going to stick with you for a little bit too. Just not being able to, kind of deliver there, and you kind of come to expect Judge to rise to the occasion in all those moments. And he did in game three, to force game four. But obviously that one in game one, you just never know how that could swing the series if they, get a hit there and either, tie the game or you take the lead. Those things kind of loom larger when you end up falling short of your ultimate goal. But he did, he didn't get much help around him. A lot of the guys that had made up the supporting cast around him during the regular season, picked a bad time to kind of go cold. But Judge, he did, almost as much as he could to try to get the Yankees to the ultimate goal, and fell short. But and obviously, at the end of the day, judged by championships. But he went a long way, at least, in answering a lot of the questions that faced him coming into this October.
It's a team and a franchise that, like you said, gets judged by championships. Aaron Boone hasn't been able to do that since he's been manager. He told you guys, or told you reporters post game, that he expects to be back next year as manager. He signed that extension in the offseason, but the Yankees are 25-27 in the postseason under Boone, and 10-23 against opponents who aren't from the AL Central. Tom Thibodeau had signed an extension with the Knicks the offseason before they fired him after coming up short in the playoffs. Do you, or have you kind of gotten that sense around the club that the Yankees could do the same thing?
Yeah, I don't have that sense at this point. Like you said, he signed a 2-year contract extension before this season, so he's under contract through 27. Brian Cashman is under contract through next year. And those kind of guys kind of work in tandem, and everything that we've heard from Brian Cashman during the season, and Boone's players that have continued to kind of back him, defend him as Boone is kind of put up the shield, for his team throughout the year, kind of taking a lot of that on him, and good and bad, more often bad. But at this point, it doesn't seem like he's going anywhere. Obviously, who knows what can happen in the next few weeks as the Yankees kind of go through their postmortem and try to figure out where it all went wrong. But he's under contract, and he said he doesn't expect to go anywhere. And everything that the Yankees have kind of indicated leading up to this point would seem to suggest that there won't be a change at the top. It'll be status quo, but obviously they need to figure out something, because it's been the same ending here for the last this is Boone's 8th year as manager, and every October there's an abrupt ending like this where they try to figure out why they fell short. They change the roster every offseason and during the season, try to come up with that right formula to be the last team standing, and they haven't figured it out since 2009, predating Boone. So we'll see how many more chances they get to kind of run it back with that same core group, that same core leadership group. But at this point, it seems like there's nothing to suggest that Boone isn't going to come back to get another shot at it.
Lastly, Greg, real quick, it's another season of you covering the Yankees. How would you summarize this season?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. They bookended it, the regular season, of looking like a team that had a chance to do some great things. Started strong, finished strong, and in the middle there was a lot of rough an extended stretch that they weren't able to snap out of, which we've seen a few years in a row with these teams under Boone, that the summer swoon and not being able to snap out of it quickly enough, as quickly as they would like. And then some of that stuff kind of, ends up, foreshadowing some stuff that can hurt them later in the year, maybe. But yeah, I mean, when you look at it, you wonder if, a couple games here and there that they should have had, there's plenty that you can pick through over the course of the season, course of the 162, that, really they win one more game, they win the division, they get the bye, they have home field advantage in the ALDS. And is that a different is that a different outcome? They weren't able to have any kind of success at Rogers Center this year, so they dropped the first two games of the ALDS there. Is it different if they're playing those two games at Yankee Stadium? Maybe. Never know. Obviously, it's something that they're going to kind of have to live with. They weren't able to beat the Blue Jays, in the regular season or in the postseason when it mattered. So, and that team's not going anywhere in the future too. So it's something that they're going to have to figure out moving forward. But yeah, obviously, kind of familiar feeling here of entering an off season that a lot of questions to answer, but maybe not a lot of easy solutions to kind of figure out where to go from here.
Well, we appreciate you for the coverage and your availability throughout the season, Greg. And yeah, we're going to be calling on you because I feel like it's going to be another busy off season with a lot of news breaking there. I'm going to let you go here so we can catch our flight to Cancun. Juan Soto's waiting for us, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, thanks, Brendan.